What's up, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome back to Ages of Film. It's been a minute. Since I've kicked it with you guys. I miss you guys, man. Life for me has been crazy lately. My schedule has been just crazy. So, but that's life. You know, that's how it goes sometimes. I would have liked to have been putting out more content for all you, but just finding the time has been difficult for me lately. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm in film school, so I'm actively doing classes and projects for for film school. Plus I have a full-time job, plus other responsibilities. It's just, it gets pretty crazy for me trying to find time to sit down and record and edit and upload content for the channel. So I appreciate all of you guys for sticking with me, for staying in here, staying subscribed. Any new subscribers, welcome to the channel. And please make sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. It's a good way to help the channel out, get more eyes on the content. So as you guys can see by the title, we're doing another directorial filmography ranking video. I've done a couple of these on my channel. I've ranked all of John Carpenter's films. I've ranked all of Zack Snyder films. So now I thought I would do another director that is pretty big in the horror community. That's obviously Wes Craven. So I have seen all of his feature films. So we're going to be ranking all of those today. Now, I will admit that some of these are kind of blurry to me as far as remembering them or remembering like what happens. I've seen all of them within the past year, but the reason it's hard for me to remember some of these is because I watch so many movies on a regular basis that my memory is constantly having to attach to new movies all the time. So having to shuffle through the Rolex of films can be challenging sometimes. But the good thing is I rate all of the movies that I watch on my letterbox. So that kind of tells me my overall thoughts on the film. So some of them, that's kind of what I'm going by here. It's just what I rated the movie on Letterboxd, and trusting those ratings, because I'm to the point now where when I'm watching a movie, I'm actively watching the movie. So when I rate it, I feel pretty confident about my rating of it. So now it's not to say that any of these movies can't ever change. They can. Movies do change sometimes. Your opinion on movies change sometimes, but for the most part, I would say that these movies and the rating I give them and where they fall in ranking wise is pretty solid. And if anyone is new to my channel and hasn't seen any other ranking videos that I've done, when I have multiple movies that have the same rating, I rank them based on rewatch value. So if I have like 5 movies that are all 3-star films, I'm going to rank those 3-star films based on which one I'm most likely to come back to. So that's kind of how I rank movies that have the same rating. So you'll see some of that in this video. But the overall rating, those could change upon multiple viewings. But this is where I stand as of right now with Wes Craven's filmography. So we have 24 movies. We're going to go through, knock these out. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. I think A couple of them, maybe I've reviewed on my channel. I'm not sure at this point. But yeah, I'll just kind of give a brief summary and move on so we don't spend forever on this ranking video. So, just one more reminder, guys. This is just my opinion on these movies. If you feel differently, that's totally fine. Let me know in the comment section how you would rank these movies. Have you seen all of Wes Craven movies? Which is your favorite Wes Craven movie? Anything and everything you want to let me know in the comment section. All I ask that you be respectful about it. That being said, let's get into my ranking of Wes Craven's entire feature filmography. So starting from the bottom, number 24, I have The Last House on the Left with a 1.5 star rating. Not a big fan of this film. I know it is somewhat of a classic in the horror community. A lot of people do love this movie. I find the remake of it from 2009, I believe, I find that one a better film than the original. The original one had a very low budget. It's very noticeable. I think the acting is very weak by the actors here, which Wes Craven couldn't afford, stars for his, film. This was his first feature film. He didn't have a large budget, so he kind of had to just make do with the talent that he got. But that it does stand out. When you watch this film, you can tell that these actors are pretty green, and the performances aren't very good in my opinion. So it's not knocking the actors because they're pretty new to the game, and so it's just from a viewing experience, it's something that does negatively affect the film for me personally. So. And it's just not a film that I'm going to come back to. It's kind of a one and done type of movie. I've seen it. I know what it's about. It's not a story or a film that I care to revisit. It's not content that I care to subject myself to very, often at all. The characters, I just, I mean, obviously you feel sympathetic for the victims in this movie. You never want that kind of stuff to happen to anybody. But that being said, I also the surrounding characters here, I don't invest a whole lot with anybody in this movie. So it is what it is, man. That's my thoughts on it. It's my least favorite Wes Craven film, 1.5 star rating. It's number 24. Coming in at number 23, we have The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. Also with a 1.5 star rating for me. Not a fan of this one either. It just felt very forced. It's basically the best way I know how to describe it. It felt very forced. It didn't feel like Wes Craven really knew what he wanted to do with the movie. He just it was just kind of thrown together and let's see how it does type of thing. I didn't really care about any of the characters here. I felt like there were some major plot points, plot holes, and conveniences that the film was asking me to accept and buy into that I just didn't. So yeah, if I'm gonna watch a Hills Have Eyes movie, it's gonna be the remake. The 2006 remake, I think, is the best of the 4 Hills Have Eyes movies. Part 2 by Wes Craven, not very good. 1.5 stars. It's my number 23. Coming in at number 22, we have, I believe, Wes Craven's final. No, there was one after this one, but one of his last movies. That is My Soul to Take from 2010. This is a 2-star film. Not very good, but it wasn't so bad where I couldn't ever watch it again. You know, this is one that if I had to sit through it again, I could. I think there was some entertainment quality to it. I found myself somewhat investing with a couple of the characters, although I think there's some issues with the script. Also with the directing, some of the camera stuff didn't look as sharp as some other Wes Craven movies. And the story itself just seemed very kind of generic. And I don't know that the plot twist at the end was very believable for me. So, yeah, 2-star film. Not the worst thing ever, but Wes Craven has certainly done better. So that is my number 22. Coming at number 21, we have the original Hills Have Eyes movie. I think this was Wes Craven's second feature film of his career that he did. This one, again, a 2-star film. I don't think it's very good. I don't. I'm not a fan of the original two Hills Have Eyes movies. The only movie of the 4 that they've made is the '06 remake. To me, that's the only one that has any type of rewatch value. It's the only one that I actually enjoy. But yeah, the original one, the characters don't do it, don't cut it for me. The script doesn't cut it for me. The direction by Wes Craven, I don't think he found his mark. But by this point, I think he still had a lot to learn, especially filming at night in the dark. I think he still needed to learn develop some skill with that. I just don't care for it. It's not very entertaining. I get bored. I get drawn out. It's just the pacing isn't very good. I know, again, this is a film that definitely has a fan base, definitely has a following. And if that's you, if you're one of the people that loves this movie, more power to you, man. I got no problem with that. It's just, film is subjective and we all have our own viewing experiences with movies. For me, I just don't care for it. I don't think it's horrible, but it's a 2-star film. It's not a film I'm going to go try to find off the shelf and throw in on my own. If it's on, I can watch it, be mildly entertained with it, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's I certainly don't think it's a masterpiece of cinema. So, Hills Have Eyes, number 21. Coming in at number 20, we have Summer of Fear. This one also has another title that it goes by, which is... man, what is the other title for this movie? This was a TV movie from the late 70s, I believe. It has... Exorcist girl, what's her name? Linda Blair in it. So yeah, it was a 2-star film. I remember there being entertainment aspects to the film. There were a few things that I was entertained by, that I did kind of enjoy. I thought Linda Blair did a great job. She's always money for the most part. I thought the story was kind of interesting. So it had some things going for it. The problem I felt was, again, in the script, in the character writing, the dialogue writing, not very good, kind of weak. Also, again, the budget and the quality that Wes Craven is working with here, and with camera and sound and stuff like that, just, again, not very good. I don't necessarily blame Wes Craven, because you can only do what you have the means to work with. You can only work within your means. That being said, I also don't necessarily let budget restraints be a total write-off for not making a good film, because we've seen movies that don't have a large budget that are still really darn good films. So it's not a total write-off, but it is something that I do kind of take into consideration with movies. But Summer of Fear overall, yeah, 2-star film. Probably not going to go out of my way to ever watch it again, but it has some things going for it where I can be mildly entertained with it. So that's my number 20. Coming in at number 19, we have Swamp Thing. Yeah, Wes Craven doing a DC film and making it a horror superhero film, if you want to call it that. It's an interesting film because, you know, if anyone that doesn't know the history of Swamp Thing, he's a DC character and is been kind of made to be, you know, a superhero in some ways in the comics, DC comics and stuff. They give it to Wes Craven to make a movie out of it. Wes Craven is known as a horror director. So he takes Swamp Thing and makes it into, I would argue, more of a horror film than a superhero film. There's superhero elements to it. If someone wanted to classify it as a superhero film, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But I think for me, I think that the horror setting and tone is the driving genre of the film. So yeah, the Swamp Thing, again, not very good. It just felt messy. It didn't feel like a very well put together, well defined, coherent film. It felt like Wes Craven didn't really even know what kind of movie he was trying to make, and you get that feeling. It comes out in this movie. Some of the effects don't really hold up at all. A couple of the performances in it are pretty weak, in my opinion. It's just a mess, really. A 2-star film. It's not. I don't think it's horrendous. It's not the worst superhero film ever made, but yeah, it's not very good, but again, decently watchable, I guess. Yeah, Swamp Thing, my number 19. Coming in at number 18, we have another straight-to-TV movie with Chiller from, I believe, 1983, 1984, somewhere around there, TV movie. An interesting concept here. Interesting story. Kind of a zombie movie. Kind of a supernatural type of movie. I don't know. You kind of get like Pet Sematary vibes with zombie, with it kind of maybe a little bit vampire type of feeling to it. I don't know. It's a unique film. If you haven't checked it out, interesting story. The story was intriguing. I was intrigued with the story. I liked the main character. I thought he played the creepy, ominous type of role pretty well. I did like him in the movie. Some of the kills were pretty good. Some of the effects looked pretty good. It's got some things going for it. Still only a 2-star movie though. It's, you know, there are a number of things it could have improved on in the script department, in the directing department. But yeah, an interesting movie. I think I would, of the 2-star films so far, I think I would be most likely to go back and rewatch Chiller out of the ones that I've listed so far. So Chiller is my number 18, or number 18. Number 17, we have Shocker from 1989. Wild movie, man. Crazy. Wes Craven, I don't know what he was on. You know, I don't know what kind of what kind of medication, or, you know, what he was on, but yeah, Shocker is a crazy movie, man. It's a 2-star film. I think that the first half of the movie is actually pretty entertaining, and I was invested with, you know, that first half and what was going on, and the different things they were doing and trying out. I was interested in, you know, that the first half of this film keeps my attention. I'm intrigued with the story and the serial killer that they put to death, that they execute in this movie, is pretty dark. You know, he's definitely a psycho loony guy, and I liked where, you know, I liked the setup of the movie. I liked kind of what they were doing in that first half. Enter the second half, and things just, you know, take a totally different route than where I thought the movie was going. And it just gets way too just ridiculous and over the top for me. And the second half is where they lose me. I can't get on board with just some of the wacky Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes type of stuff that they were trying to put in the second half. The first half was dark, scary, ominous, and then the second half just gets so ridiculous and cheesy. It's like, okay, are these like two different movies that we're trying to blend into one? Because it's not working. But yeah, Shocker, crazy movie. If you haven't seen it, probably would recommend it. Maybe watch the first half. You know, if you get enjoyment out of the first half, probably don't watch the second half, because it's not going to be anything like the first half. But yeah, hey, there are people that like it, man. There are people that like this movie. Again, if you're one of those people, more power to you. But yeah, it wasn't for me. So Shocker's my number 17. Coming in at number 16, we have Invitation to Hell, another TV movie. I believe this was a TV movie. 2.5-star film. So we're into another tier with this one. We're entering the decent films. So all the ones we've talked about, not very good. This is the first one that I would say is a decent film. It's passable. I think it's kind of, you know, the good and bad kind of cancel each other out, kind of a wash. Invitation to Hell is decent. Again, kind of an interesting concept. One thing that I always appreciate with Wes Craven is he's never been afraid to open up that creative envelope and try different things, go for different things, not just fit into the mold of the status quo with what everyone else is doing. You know, he tries different things. He's not afraid to be innovative, to use his ingenuity. And I've always appreciated that with Wes. So yeah, interesting concept here. I just don't know that it really did anything that made me want to come back to it. You know, it's just, it didn't really have any characters that pulled me in. The story, while an interesting story, isn't necessarily one that I find myself having an urge to go back to a lot. So it just kind of falls in at that 2.5-star decent tier. It's got some things going for it, but yeah, decent film, 2.5 stars. My number 16. Coming in at number 15, we have Deadly Friend. This was again another crazy type of movie with just crazy things happening. I think there's a scene where I could be wrong. I could be thinking of a different movie, but I think that this is the one that has a scene where a guy like throws a football, and people that have seen it will be able to correct me in the comments section if I get this wrong, but I think there was a scene where like a guy throws a football at this girl, and it just like goes straight through her head and just like she explodes. Am I thinking of the right film? Let me know in the comment section if that was this movie. There was a scene where something was thrown at this zombified girl and she just like explodes or something like that. She hits a wall and explodes. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comment section. Crazy movie, man. Yeah, but it's entertaining. That's the thing. It kept my attention the whole time. So I wasn't really sure what it was that I was watching, but that being said, I was entertained by what I was watching in a weird way. It's crazy how it happened, but yeah, so it is entertaining in a weird type of way, but yeah, just I think there were some things that they probably could have thought through a little more before putting it on screen. But yeah, I mean, hey, if you're entertained at the end of the day, I mean, I guess that's what it's all about, right? So yeah, Deadly Friend is my number 15. Coming in at number 14, we have People Under the Stairs from early 90s. I think maybe 90, 91, 92-ish, somewhere around there. A lot of people like this movie. I'm kind of in the middle. To me, a 2.5 star film. It's decent. I would like to see a remake of this movie. I know they had plans to remake it at one point. I think those plans got canceled. It never fell through. But I would actually like to see a remake of this, modernized version of it. Maybe touch some things up with the script or the story. And I think there's potential there. I think that there is something in here that has potential to be a pretty cool film. For me, again, it's interesting. An interesting movie. There are things that it's got going for it that I liked. The mystery side of it, the whole kind of survive and escape type feeling that you have. This kid's trying to escape out of this house, and there's some people under there. Spoiler alert, people under the stairs. The owners of this house are, you find out, just crazy. But yeah, decent film. I'm not that rah-rah about this movie like some people are. But I don't think it's a bad movie. I wouldn't say it's a bad film. To me, it's just kind of right there, decent 2.5 star film. Moving on, number 13. Might be somewhat of a surprise to some people that I had this movie as high as I do, because people that know me know kind of where I fall in my preference of film. So this one might be a surprise that I have this one this high. But my number 13 is actually Music of the Heart from 1998 with Meryl Streep. Wes Craven just doing something completely different from horror. This is kind of kind of a character drama, following Meryl Streep's character. She's this violin teacher at the school, while also being a single parent raising kids. Her husband had left her, and she's having to kind of learn to move on from that. And she, meets this other guy, has a, kind of falls in love again a little bit. There's some things happen, some plot along the way that develops, but overall, I had a decent time with it. I really did. I did not think going into this movie that I was going to like it, because it's just, on paper, it doesn't sound like a movie that, I'm going to like or that I would enjoy. Just a film about a violin teacher falling in love with a guy. It's just it doesn't sound like anything I would just throw on and watch. So I didn't think I was going to like this movie when I watched it. Lesson learned: don't judge a book by its cover, right? I had a decent time with it. I really did. I wouldn't say that I liked it. Again, this is a 2.5-star film, so it's still just decent for me. But for where my expectations were with it, I think it did exceed expectations. So it is a decent film. I think it did have, a very touching story there. The story, I think, it's a beautiful story, and it's got some heart to it. Meryl Streep does a great job, as always. I mean, it's Meryl Streep. She never really pulls her punches. So her performance was very good. I thought Wes Craven directed it well. So yeah, it did have things going for it. The reason it's not higher is because, again, that rewatch value for me, not really there. This is kind of a one and done type of movie. I've seen it. I had a decent time with it. Am I going to go out of my way to rewatch it? Probably not. So for what it was, a one-time watch, and for where my expectations were, it was passable, And it's number 13 for me, 2.5-star film. Coming in at number 12, we have another TV movie, that is Night Visions. Also, I believe from the early 90s. Night Visions, so again, it's got things going for it. The whole detective mystery, type of film is a genre that I like. I like detective type of stories, detective type of movies. I think that goes back to being a Batman fan, my love for Batman, and Batman being a detective, the world's greatest detective, right? And a lot of those early Batman comics, and a lot of the best Batman comics being detective stories. I think that's probably where that stems from. But I've always enjoyed a good detective type of movie, solving crimes. That is up right up my alley. So the story was a story I was interested in, and I was intrigued with the whole detective trying to solve these crimes. I think where the movie doesn't quite work for me, the characters here, I don't know if it's in their performances. The performances seemed fine, so I don't know that it was the performances. I think it was just how the characters were written. I just don't know, like, none of the characters in this film really stood out for me. None of them really had anything that captivated me, or offered me something that I liked, or was, that I gravitated towards. Interesting story. I was intrigued with the story, but the execution, I guess, is where it kind of suffered a little bit for me. 2.5-star film, decent. I could watch it again, be somewhat entertained with it. But again, it's one of those movies. While it is mildly entertaining, it's not anything that I'm gonna go out of my way to throw on and watch, you know. So, but for what it is, decent film, 2.5 stars. My number 12. Coming in at number 11, we have Vampire in Brooklyn. Yeah, Eddie Murphy, man. Who would have thought Eddie Murphy, the comedy king, would work with, Wes Craven, a horror director icon, right? Kind of an interesting combo there. Did it work though? That's the question. I don't know. I don't know that it did. I have mixed feelings with this movie. I want to like it. I do. I want to like this movie. But when I watch it, it just doesn't quite win me over. I don't know. Maybe it's... Yeah, look, if you're new to my channel, I'm not a vampire guy. All right, I don't like vampires. Vampires can go pound sand. I'm a werewolf guy. I love me some werewolves. People that have been kicking it with me on my channel, they know that. I'm a werewolf guy, man. Yeah. So with this being a vampire movie and vampires being the main characters here, I'm already not a fan. But I think for me, I felt like there were moments where Eddie Murphy is trying to be Eddie Murphy, but he's trying to be Eddie Murphy in what feels like a genuine horror movie. Like, I don't know that his comedy roots fully meshed well with Wes Craven's horror roots. Sometimes that can you can pull that off. Other times it just doesn't work. But yeah, it's mixed feelings. It's entertaining. It's entertaining. I like the practical effects, the visual effects on the vampires, and the practical effects. The makeup there looks really good. Some of the other effects works in it look pretty good. I like, the costumes were good. It definitely has things working for it. But again, it goes back to that subjective viewing experience where when I watch it, again, don't like vampires. And secondly, when I come to this movie, I want a horror movie. But there are moments when I really feel like Eddie Murphy is being Eddie Murphy, and that comes through. So it takes me out of any type of tension or any type of horror feeling that I would be having or want to be having. Gets kind of pulled out from under me with some of the performances by Eddie Murphy. So yeah, mixed feelings on it, man. I don't not like it, but I don't necessarily like it either. It's just, decent. Again, 2.5 stars. What can you do, man? That's my viewing experience with it. Moving on to number 10. So we're top 10 now. And I will just say, from here on up, all good movies. So everything in my top 10 I would say is either a good movie to, my top, 1 and 2 are just phenomenal movies. But my number 10, this is the first one I would call genuinely a good film and a movie that I liked. And that is Deadly Blessing. I wasn't sure that I was going to like it just from kind of reading the synopsis of it. But I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was actually pretty good. Surprise, right? I like surprises like that. I like when I go into a movie thinking I'm not gonna like it, and then I come away actually really enjoying it. I like those type of surprises. I don't like the surprises where I think I'm gonna like a movie and then end up not liking it. But yeah, this was a pleasant surprise. I enjoyed it. I don't think this was a TV movie. It could have been. Wes Craven did a number of TV movies. I don't know. I can't remember if this was one of the ones that was straight to TV. But TV movies are feature films as long as they meet the runtime. This is a feature film, but yeah, I liked it. I did. This is one that I could see myself rewatching. I could see myself having somewhat of a desire to throw it on again and check it out. So this would probably be the first one on this list that I would actually give a thumbs up to and recommend checking out. It's not one I hear brought up a lot, but I mean, I liked it. Again, it's number 10, 3-star movie. So if you haven't checked it out, at least give it a shot. Maybe you'll come away with the same feeling about it that I had, which was, yeah, that was actually pretty good. So coming in at number 9, we have The Serpent and the Rainbow from the late 80s. Bill Pullman working with Wes Craven. A good movie, fun kind of adventure horror type of film, an adventure movie that has that typical Wes Craven horror theme throughout the movie, and it was entertaining. I liked it. I thought the performances were good. I thought some of the reveals were pretty good. Yeah, and some of the tension moments were actually effective. I felt that sense of tension in a couple of the scenes. I felt like the tension paid off in a number of places for me with this movie. So I like it. I could definitely rewatch this one again. Good movie. My number 9. Number 8, we have Cursed. Now, as I said a moment ago, I'm a werewolf guy. I make no apologies for that. I'm a werewolf fanatic. Love werewolf content. I love werewolf movies. I love werewolf content. Werewolf, memorabilia. Anything werewolf, man. Like, Unless you're Twilight or that True Blood stuff where you're trying to tell me that a werewolf is just a shapeshifter that turns into a giant wolf. Well, in True Blood, they're not even a giant wolf. They're literally just a wolf. Get out of here with that, dude. Get out of here. That can go kick rocks, bro. I'm not wasting my time with that. That's not werewolves, dude. If you wanna show me a werewolf movie, I want to see actual werewolves. Okay, a werewolf is a Lon Chaney Jr., bro. That's a werewolf. Underworld. Those are werewolves. Dog Soldiers. Those are werewolves. Cursed. That's a werewolf, bro. Like, if you're gonna give me werewolf or make a werewolf movie, have actual werewolves in the movie, not these little, half a fruitcake type of characters. You get vampires that sparkle and wannabe werewolves that are just, dogs that get hit by gamma rays. Those aren't werewolves, dude. I'll take out my shotgun and blow those things to hell. So yeah, Cursed is a legit werewolf movie. If you have the same feeling about werewolves that I have, you don't like shape-shifting dogs, dog people, you like actual werewolves, Cursed is a legit werewolf movie. And I like it. It's entertaining. You get a young Jesse Eisenberg in here. It's my only problem though, and one of my big problems with this movie, one thing that keeps it from being higher, we didn't get enough of the werewolf, man. What we got of the werewolf was really good, and I liked it. I thought the werewolf looked good. I thought Wes Craven directed the werewolf scenes well. The tension was there. We just didn't get enough of it. I felt like we needed more of the werewolf in the movie, and I feel like they should have gone more horror, leaned more into the horror. There's a lot of comedy, a lot of levity in the movie that I felt like hurts it, works against it. If they would have really leaned into the horror theme and the horror tone, this could easily go up to, a 4-star film, possibly higher. I don't know. But yeah, I did like it. I do like Cursed. Good werewolf movie. Solid. It's my number 8. Coming in at number 7, we get our first Scream movie on the list, that being Scream 4. 3-star film. I recently, pretty recently did a Scream ranking on one of my Sunday live streams with Eric over at The Bearded Entertainment. If you haven't gone over and checked out his channel, go do so. Give him a like and a sub. We ranked the Scream franchise, and this was my bottom. This is my least favorite Scream movie. That being said, still a good movie. It's still a 3-star film, so that should tell you the quality that you're dealing with when you come to Scream. I mean, all the movies in that franchise are good to, masterpiece. But so while I have Scream 4 at the bottom of the Scream list, it's still a 3-star film. It's still better than the majority of movies that Wes Craven did. And it does hold a special place, I think, in my heart and in the hearts of all of Wes Craven fans, knowing that this was his last film, his last project. R.I.P. Wes, man. But yeah, still a good film. I still enjoy it. 3-star film. Right above it at number 6, Scream 3. So, Scream 3 and Scream 4 are pretty close with each other, honestly. I think Scream 3 just has a few more things that I kind of get on board with. A little more entertaining and acceptable for me. I really liked Roman as a killer. I liked the plot, the tension between him and Sydney. It's with him being her brother, it makes the plot and the threat a lot more personal, in my opinion. I like seeing Sydney at a different place in her life now. It's got a lot of things working for it. So it's not, there's not a wide gap between Scream 3 and Scream 4. I mean, they're neck and neck with each other, but I just feel like at the end of the day, I watch Scream 3 more often than I watch Scream 4. I think it just does a little bit more for me. So Scream 3, also a 3-star film, comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have New Nightmare. Wes Craven comes back to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, kind of saves it from the clutches of death that it was in with Freddy Goes to Hell. No, I'm thinking Jason Goes to Hell. Freddy's Dead. Yeah. Nightmare Part 6. Good Lord. What a nightmare that movie was, right? That movie was truly a nightmare. Easily the worst of the nightmare movies. But New Nightmare, man, I do. I've always enjoyed this movie. This is a 3.5 star movie for me. Really enjoy it. Very creative. I like that Wes was he was on his game with this one. You're doing something different. It's got a few things that I don't know quite land fully for me. I loved Robert Englund. I thought he did a great job. Loved the look of Freddy in this movie. I actually thought that Nancy Thompson gives her best role, her best performance in this one, playing herself. Or Heather Langenkamp gives her best performance playing herself in this movie. I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult to her. I don't mean it as an insult, but take it for what you will. But yeah, New Nightmare, man, I enjoy this one. I enjoy it a lot. It's entertaining. I like the story. It's engaging. I can kind of view it through a different lens than I view the rest of the Nightmare movies. I know some people can't really do that, and that's fine. You don't have to. But for me, I see what Wes was doing. I see what he was going for. I like it. I respect it. I'm entertained by it. New Nightmare, 3.5 star film. It's my number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Red Eye from 2005. Starring Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy. Really good movie, 3.5 star film. Really enjoy it. Pretty quick movie. It's not very long. I think it's only about 80. I think it, just touches the 80-minute mark. So it gets in and out like a robber, man. It does its thing. It doesn't lag. Doesn't waste any time. And it's pretty entertaining, man. I really liked the concept, the story here. I like the performances. I thought Cillian does a good job. Rachel does a good job. They play off each other well. I think the third act kind of, I don't know that Wes fully sticks that landing. I think there gets to be a few conveniences towards the end where I'm like, I don't know that we need the rest of this. I think you could have ended it 10, maybe 15 minutes earlier, but you cut off another 15 minutes. You're pushing a longer short film at that point rather than an actual feature film. But yeah, for what it is, again, it's entertaining. I like it. Keeps my attention. I think the tension works. I like the performances. I like the concept. And I like that there's not really filler here. It gets in, gets out, does its business, and doesn't waste any time. So, Red Eye is my number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have Scream 2. 4-star film, great film, and a great sequel to the original Scream. We get pretty much the same cast coming back. Neve Campbell coming back as Sydney. She's one of my favorite final girls in horror. She's right up there with Sigourney Weaver and the Alien franchise. But yeah, great movie, great tension building scenes, and just a fun ride. Cotton's a great character, love him. For me, one of the Ghostface reveals in particular, and I kind of talk about this a little bit more on the live stream ranking that we did. But one of the Ghostface reveals in particular just really I can't get on board with. I'm sorry. I can't get on board with it. But great film, 4-star movie. This is the first one that I would say is truly a great movie. It's my number 3. That leaves only 2 movies left. You guys already know what they are. They're Wes Craven's 2 most iconic films, the 2 movies that he's most known for, will always be remembered for. I love both of these movies to death and back. So just keep that in mind. If you would swap these 2 movies, I wouldn't necessarily be upset with it. I think one is clearly better than the other. That being said, my number 2 has one of my favorite horror characters of all time. My number 2 is the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984 with my boy Freddy Krueger, man, played by the late great Robert Englund. Love Freddy. He's my, he's in my top 5 favorite horror characters. I would take, as a character, I would take Freddy over Ghostface any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I love everything Freddy, man. So, and it's, again, a great concept, an interesting concept, and a different type of boogeyman with Freddy. He's not your, he's not your typical psycho killer like a Norman Bates, or some of these other guys that are just a typical horror slasher, Leatherface, psycho killer. He's not, or even John Kramer, who you could probably still classify as a psycho killer. I mean, the stuff that John Kramer puts people in, those type of situations, you gotta be pretty messed up in the head to come up with those things and then not have any type of remorse about putting people in them. So I would still throw John Kramer into that typical psycho type of killer, group. Not knocking those type of groups. I love Psycho. I love Texas Chainsaw. I love, a couple of the Saw movies. But I'm just saying, that Freddy is a different type of boogeyman, right? He's a guy that's coming at you in your sleep. He's a boogeyman no one can avoid him. Everyone sleeps. At some point, you have to fall asleep. And when you do, old Freddy Krueger is going to be there waiting for you, and the look is just so iconic. The glove, knives, man, just so awesome. So yeah, love Freddy Krueger. I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It's still my favorite Nightmare movie of that franchise. The original is still my favorite. So yeah, it's my number 2. The ending is what sets it back for me. I don't think Wes Craven stuck the ending. I will argue that till Kingdom Come. If we would have had a better ending to that movie, this would be in that 5-star tier. But 4.5-star movie, just teetering on that 5-star. It's knocking on that door, but with the ending, I can't quite put it in there. So Obviously, my number one is the original Scream. Just, a masterpiece, 5-star film. It's a perfect movie. For me, in my subjective viewing experience, the original Scream is a perfect movie. It's a classic. It's iconic. Great characters. Great concept. Great reveal. Great performances across the board. Great directing by Wes Craven. Very quotable movie. It's just, and it gave us another horror franchise and horror character of Ghostface that has withstood the test of time. So yeah, Wes Craven found, that lightning in a bottle a second time. So kudos to him. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit more on the live stream ranking. You can go check out. But yeah, Scream is my number one. It's my favorite Wes Craven movie. I think it's the best Wes Craven movie. So there you go. That is my ranking of all 24 Wes Craven films. Let me know. Let me know in the comments section if you guys agree, disagree, anything and everything. I'm sure I'm bound to get some pushback on a couple of these, but it's all good, man. It's all good. Guys, look, as I said in the beginning, my schedule is crazy right now. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to, drop content for you freaks. I would love to do it more often. Trust me, I would. But just bear with me, man. Bear with me. When I get the time, I will drop content. I don't want to give you guys any guarantees or promises that I can't uphold, So, but hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. And until next time, you know what it is. Kick it and rock on.